Plants that are resistant to animals, but I mean, it's heavy on the resistant part. There is, in my experience, there is no plant that is totally animal resistant. One animal or another might find it their lunch or other reasons as well. Probably the worst of these night intruders is probably the Javelina. And their main objective, unless you're growing like turnips or beets or some kind of root vegetable or something, they're mostly after the grubs that are in the ground. And so their main deal is just to root your plant out of the way, and they're known to take up whole lawns, and especially when they're in big groups and stuff, and devastate large portions of your landscape and stuff. So probably your best bet, and when it comes to Javelina, is probably to get rid of the grubs that they're after and everything. Get rid of the food source. I mean, there's also skunks are after the same thing, and there are a few other animals like I don't know how much experience he's had, but with raccoons are also looking for the bugs in the ground as well. I have a kind of a funny story where I have a background of doing landscapes and landscape plans. I've been doing it my whole life. And one time I did a lot of work in the White Mountains. We had a lady that called up, and she said that she was calling and complaining, saying, "Why didn't you roll out the sod? Why did you just took the sod out and not completely roll it out?" And I go, "What are you talking about? We rolled up the sod. Everything's all was set to go when we left the job site." And she sent pictures and stuff of parts of the yard where the sod was all rolled back up in the rolls because it came that way initially and stuff. And it took several nights, and they finally put a camera out, and they found out it was raccoons. Raccoons were going after the insects that was under the sod. And so the raccoons were smart enough, they got up there and they re-rolled the sod back into the rolls. It was getting to the bugs underneath.
Raccoons eat roses?
I haven't known them to, no.
Something visit my backyard and just fairly good sized rose. And so I happened to be up one night and flipped on the light, and there was a raccoon.
Oh, is that right?
Now,
Really?
well, he was going over the fence. I mean, he wasn't at the roses, but I don't know what else would eat that. Do you?
Maybe deer?
Yeah, that would be my best guess is deer.
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 I have a fence.
Well,
But
it's going to have to be a pretty tall fence to keep deer out.
I've never seen
Yeah, I mean, in areas that are totally, deer proof as far as fencing goes, which is, one of the
Yeah, I agree.
things, is in areas, I don't know, like in Texas where they do it the other way around. There's a lot of ranching that goes on, and they've turned a lot of ranch land into game land for hunting and stuff, and they put a double fence up to keep the deer in their pastures and stuff, instead of letting they'll bring in exotic deer and then have these real expensive leases and stuff like that for deer. Deer can jump pretty tall fence.
well, this isn't a fence, but I don't know if that's right.
Okay, so I don't know, we're talking about deer. We move into talking deer and rabbits are ones that, for the most part, they are after your tender vegetables, your tender flowers, your shrubs and stuff. They're looking to eat them, and because they're very tender and delicious to them. So like on the list that we have and everything, we have resistant ones, but no sooner will I, pull up a shrub that someone will say, well, I had that one and they ate it to the ground. Well, that's, that's the thing is, there's nothing that's completely foolproof. I mean, unless you're putting up big, huge, block walls and stuff like that. So, I don't know, especially with deer and rabbits and stuff. With rabbits, even a regular chain link fence sometimes isn't enough to keep them from coming through. So you have to have something that has a smaller mesh down low than chain link to keep those guys out of your garden and stuff at times.
Oh yeah, they run through those chain link fences.
I've known also people get for gardening in areas, out of where there's heavy deer and rabbits and areas, where they not only did they did fencing, and then they did 3 feet of a metal fence, a solid metal fence at the bottom, and then they went 18 inches under the ground with metal to completely barricade their garden off and everything. So
Did it work?
it worked for everything except for field mice. Field mice found a way through that barrier and stuff. But they're kind of a burrowing creature, so most likely they found some weakness in a corner or something like that, and they burrowed under and made the person just go crazy and stuff. But also, just to we're talking about barriers and stuff. One that also works really well for Javelina is electric fence. I know, usually, it's just like 12 volts, and a lot of times there are people that will put up a low fence, mostly for Javelina and stuff, of electrical fence, and they will put it on a timer where it maybe just comes on at night, or sometimes there's even some people that will put it on early in the spring, and then they shut it off, because once they hit it once, they come back and they see that again, and they go, oh, I'm not going to do that again, and they'll steer clear of your garden, and it's not even on, but they don't know that. Some people are have an issue with electrifying a fence and stuff, but it's you can touch it yourself. It's no fun, but it doesn't kill you. But also, besides physical barriers, there's also more natural things that are scents and smell things and stuff. Some of these products, have kind of an egg smell, or some of them use like castor oil and stuff. Like this Repel-Zol is also good for Javelina, where if you put it and shake it in and you get it down around the garden and stuff, and it gets on their fur, and it's a scent that they just don't like. The thing with using these sprays, different sprays and stuff, or different repellents is consistency. A lot of times you can put it down, but you have to come back and reapply it every so often. I have an example where I've used one of these liquid sprays in an area where there was a real heavy elk infestation. The elks were living and people were building houses in their homes for the most part. And there would be, in this area, they had herds of 200 elk. And so to elk, aspen trees are like candy. The bark of aspen trees, they would love it. And they would just come up and they would strip the tree completely of all the bark in a section, and they would. I've seen overnight thousands of dollars worth of aspen trees devastated. And so we put new ones in, and we used one of these sprays that has a scent on it. The thing is we had to go in like every 3 months and reapply it to the trunks and stuff. And I knew it worked because I'd been at a neighboring house, because we had one particular person that was paying our company to come and spray their trees with it on a regular basis. And they called me up and said my neighbors were talking to me about that their trees were all devastated, and yet mine were left alone. And they, all we could come to sense is that this spray had helped them from getting their trees killed out as well. So,
Does it then make your flowers and your plants and your trees stink? Like
a lot of times it will until it dries, and then our ability to smell it is strong, and we don't smell it unless you're really messing with it or something like that. So for the most part, once it dries onto the plant, you really don't smell it so much and stuff, unless you really stick your nose right into it and stuff like that. A lot of animals, they have a lot stronger sense of smell than we do. So. Also, when it comes to deer, in this one area I've talked about, I've landscaped a lot of stuff in the White Mountains and stuff, where you're at elevations of 8,000 and higher and stuff, and the elk population are just real heavy in there. And another deterrent we found that worked, that we came up with for aspen trees and fruit trees as well, and young maple trees. These deer will sometimes do this, and elk definitely do, and that's, they'll strip the bark off of the trees. And we came up with a solution where they don't like walking on certain things, and one is like a riprap, or what is a jagged rock that's like 3 to 6 inches in size, and it's a broken rock. And we came out from the trees and about 2 foot out, and then we put a barrier from 2 foot to 6 foot around the trees in this field of this jagged rock, just a single layer of it. And those trees to this day have not been touched by the deer or elk and stuff, because they don't like that feel on their hooves and stuff. There's another thing that some people use for their gardens, and they actually use chicken wire for deer. And what it is, they don't make a fence of it, they lay it on the ground. And they don't like stepping on that wire because it gets in between their hooves and stuff like that. And they won't walk across it, just like a type of cattle guard and such. So when it comes to like in your own backyard and stuff, in these areas and stuff, another deterrent is just simply having a pet dog in the backyard, because a lot of animals, especially rabbits and stuff, they won't come around if you've got a dog running around in your yard. Of course, some dogs will find, and especially a hot day like this, the garden is pretty inviting when it's nice and wet and cool and stuff. They'll lay down and stuff like that, but you just gotta have a place to keep cool and everything. So. But dogs help a lot, keeping different critters away from your backyard as well. Just to kind of, so basically on these lists that we have, because of the class we're talking about different animals, plant resistance. This is like a spirea, and there's certain things, and this is a gopher plant here and such. And a lot of times it has to do with like smells, like this is a lavender here, and animals just, we may love the smell, but they don't want to eat something that has these different odors to them and stuff. Sometimes it's texture, like if it has a fuzzy leaf or hairy or fuzzy leaves and stuff, they won't eat that. This is a salvia greyer, the autumn sage and stuff. It has that smell to it as well. And animals just, I don't know, something about it they don't like and stuff, so they don't want to eat it and stuff. And we're talking mostly, you know, about deers and rabbits and stuff like that when it comes to that. And of course, Russian sage here is another one that has the odors to it and stuff. And sometimes it's something with like a blue foliage, like a blue spruce and stuff like that. The blue foliage, there's something about that they don't like. You know, they don't like blue food. I guess we don't like blue food either. So, so on when it comes to like when you're trying to pick out stuff, and if you have, you know, a big problem with in your yard, we have these lists, but probably the best thing is to go and just go for a walk in the evening of your neighbors and see what's thriving in their yards, because you know they're having the same bombardment of animals that are in your yard and their yard as well. And just walking around and looking, you'll see what's working for them, could also work for you as well and stuff. So that's kind of a key thing as well. And when it comes to these different plants and stuff, sometimes like hollies and stuff, like, well, this is Mahonia right here. There's something about different hollies. It's a holly, but it's, you know, it's not in with the main genus of hollies and stuff, but it has the same factors to it that the animals don't like. I mean, there's even varieties of this Mahonia that grows naturally in the forest around here and stuff, and they seem to be doing just fine. Of course, one of the most popular plants of all around here, we sell more butterfly bush than anything, and this is something that we found that a lot of people have had success with that have animal issues and stuff in their yard and everything. Also, another category of intruders and stuff is like the ground assault, and that's, you know, the gophers and the moles and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people that have that issue, especially if you've got you know, they like a real loose soil. If you have a real loose soil, it's great for growing plants, but it's also a great home for gophers and stuff. And they can really do a lot of damage and stuff in the landscape, especially sod areas and you know, pretty much anything. They eat lots of roots and stuff. So I don't know. There's different baits and stuff that you can put, and then there's also like these applicators that can get the bait down in the hole and stuff, and then it's got a little deal where you put the bait in here and then you shove it down where you know one of the tunnels are and everything. It's pretty easy to tell because, you know, you got a little resistance and all of a sudden it just goes right in there real easily. And then you just reduce it right into their deal away from your pets and stuff in your yard. There's also like some barriers and stuff that you can put to help keep the gophers from eating the roots of your plants and stuff. I know there's some areas around here that just have a heck of a time with gophers and stuff, and they'll devastate everything in their landscape and stuff. Some people will go and you've got these remedy ones here, these smoke bombs and stuff, but you can also get, you know, hire the people to come in and put a gas and stuff into the tunnels and stuff like that. Some people do that. But different baits. Also, just to cover everything, you know, most people are using different plants and stuff that they're putting in their yard to attract butterflies and stuff like that, and attract birds and stuff. But sometimes if you're someone that has a lot of fruit trees, Birds sometimes can get to your fruit before you do and stuff. So there's always the bird netting and stuff. I put over your tree and stuff. I'm going to ask, does anybody that have any issues that they've run across in their yard that we haven't kind of touched on here and stuff? Yes, ma'am.
When I grow sunflowers, I think it's the goldfinches that eat the leaves. And I don't know that there's anything to do about that. So they just come and strip those leaves.
Is that right?
Sort of skeleton.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, like the sunflower will grow and then the goldfinches come and just destroy them. And I think other than a fence, I'm not sure, or a cage, I'm not sure if there's anything to be done.
Like a reverse A-ringer area and stuff like that, I guess.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to do. But I don't want to spray anything.
Yeah, no. And I mean, just to kind of, it doesn't have to do with so much with animals and stuff, but like when you have pests on your plants and you are spraying something, and always best to spray them late in the evening when the bees have kind of gone back into their hives and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know that's pretty much what you could do with that. Just plant lots of sunflowers.
I hope the scents arrive, yeah. Okay. I thought I'd check on it.
Sure.
Thanks.
Anybody have, yes ma'am?
I have a little smaller problem. The cheese little chicken.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah, I know
It's
it.
adorable.
I know.
I've never had any marigolds. I swear
Really?
it must be because there's leaves of marigolds and and sometimes they just crush me.
Huh.
So
That's a new one on me. Marigolds. I've never heard of anything eating marigolds
yeah,
ever.
me either.
I mean, a
I
lot of
have
times.
too. Because I heard that marigolds were supposed to be resistant, and
Yeah.
I put them, and they just ate every single one.
Is that right? Was it just the flowers or the foliage and
I
everything?
thought it was a lizard. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know because my head on the ground, which is not smart. So either a rabbit, but I have a dog, and it's like I don't know because that's why I bought them because they're supposed to be a deterrent.
I know, yeah. For years that's always been the thing with gardens is a lot of people would surround the whole garden with marigolds and stuff.
Well, this marigold, okay, it's like this tall, and it's blue still on there, but just all the leaves.
Oh, is that right?
It's just stalks.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then they don't look like that. And that's why
He's not happy.
it's so cute.
Well, I'm sorry, we don't have answers for everything, but we.
If she were to put that lapel,
Yeah.
with that around it, so to stop them.
You could always try that. I guess it would help to first kind of identify what's causing it, but you could try it and see how that would work for you. Yeah.
From even going there without killing.
Yeah.
Or put a fence, until it gets. I don't know.
Yeah. You had a question, Ben?
I do. So, am I on the right track? I heard that like rabbits have to have like 2 feet and then they won't bother
Right.
something. Is that
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
They like to mow down my garden, and then I started putting them on a raised thing, and now
Yes.
I seem to be surviving.
Sometimes you can buy fencing that has bigger and then it gets smaller as it goes down and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So you raised your garden?
I have them now in pots on bricks because I got really tired of losing food. Don't mind sharing too.
Yeah, I've heard so many Javelina stories and stuff. Some of them are just heartbreaking. And some people, coming in here and they're getting all these nice plants and stuff. Then they come back the next week and say, "Well, they're all gone." It's discouraging. So I don't know. We try to help people as much as we can. Can't, like I said, you're living in nature with them out there and stuff. So you like watching them and stuff like that. Just sometimes you wish they would leave your stuff. Put some deterrents out there. Let them go to the neighbor's house.
Do you know anything about lizards? Because I swear lizards. I don't know.
Oh,
Do
really?
they eat stuff? Or am
I
I
haven't
seeing?
seen that. I mean,
Okay.
usually it's
It's probably
insects that they're
something else.
after and stuff for the most part. So.
Okay. It may not.
I
even-
haven't heard any stories of them eating plants too much and stuff.
I have a funny gopher story.
Okay.
I lived in Southern California for many years, and my neighbors didn't do anything. So the gophers, they loved us, and I had this lawn and everything. Well, pretty soon it got to the point where, you couldn't walk on the lawn or you would fall. So I was doing everything I could, and I drowned them. I was drowning them. And one day, on the other side of the fence, I happened to walk out to take the trash out. And here's this one gopher up, and it's just dust. It's nothing but dust. And he's soaking wet. my husband, I called my husband. I said, "Here's the shovel, get him." And he said, gave me the shovel and said, "You get him." So I stood up the gopher.
That's funny.
So that list that you have, does it include as far as
Yes.
container?
Yes, it has flowers and shrubs and herbs and vines and ground covers and trees and such.
And that's
If you go
online?
on our
Yes.
website,
Yeah.
and there's a tag,
Info
Tag.
section.
that says tips,
Yeah.
Okay.
Tips.
and,
Yeah.
and both of those sheets are there. There's a deer resistant one and a javelina resistant.
Yep, you can just print them out for yourself and, help you plan, any future landscaping that you plan to do if you've got those critters, coming in your yard pretty regular and stuff. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm thinking of growing some roses outside of my fenced area.
Uh-huh.
Are those what deer typically go after, or would they not because of the thorns? Or
For the most part, usually the thorns are a deterrent and stuff, but a lot of times, like she was talking about, where your flowers are just right out there and stuff, that those flowers are just pretty tempting because they're nice tender petals and stuff and everything. Where I haven't heard them so much eating the foliage, but I have heard them eating the flowers and stuff.
so maybe fencing and maybe that repellent to keep them away for a while, right?
Yes, ma'am. All right, I guess we'll kind of wrap this up here, okay?
Thank you.
You betcha. You betcha.